Hi everyone, welcome to our tutorial. Today we're going to be presenting a tool called CheckR, which is a user-friendly validation script for collections for depositors and users. It is a file that was written in R, so it's an R Markdown file, and it's very easy to use. So today we're going to be giving a little background about the tool and explaining the tool, and then we're also going to be showing you how the tool works in RStudio, so that everyone has an idea of how to use it. And this tool is going to be available on a public GitHub repo, which will be linked later in the slides. So let's get into it. A little bit of background. Babinski et al. Was some work that we did earlier that was a review of current digital language collections from some large archives, and looking at their usability and reusability for phonetic analyses, namely forced alignment. And so this is part of like our larger question of current archival and collection practices and usability. So we ran into some issues that either slowed down the process of our forced alignment, or either like greatly hindered it, or it stopped the forced alignment process altogether on certain files. So these issues included missing files, difficulty matching files, missing metadata, and inconsistent annotation tiers. And the missing files included things like missing settings files, audio, etc. So more background, in a webinar that we did earlier this year, where we talked about this stuff, we wanted to get some audience feedback on what can be done to improve this process, or like what the audience has run into in their work, like issues they run into in their work working with collections. So we had about 60 real-time audience members that we polled at the end of our webinar, and 52% of the audience had come across file formatting issues in their work with any sort of archival material. 33% were unable to match transcript files to corresponding audio or visual material, and 71% had seen incomplete collections in their work. And then we asked the audience what tools could be used to aid in archival work, and 81% of the audience said a way to keep track of what is in a collection, and 67% said a tool which identifies the likely problems in a collection. So we decided to make a tool for this purpose, and this is to help ensure that these language collections can be used in the future and continue to be used as input to further research or further pedagogical work or reclamation work, rather than just an output of some other line of research. So here we're going to go over the basic functions of the script. So this script will list each file and folder in the directory to keep track of the full inventory, and there will be an option in the script whether or not you want to list out all the file names, or just count the number of files. So if you have like thousands of files, you may not necessarily want to see all 2,000 file names outputted, but you have the option if you would like it. But it'll show all the folders in the directory, so you have a good idea of like which folders exist in, or which subfolders exist in which larger folders, that type of thing. And yeah, it'll also show how many files are of each file extension type that exists in your collection. So this will be more clear. This will make more sense when we run through the script. But basically, it'll list all the types of file extensions in your collection and how many files have that extension. And then it'll count all the audio files in your collection, and you have the option to list out every single audio file if you would like. And it'll see how many audio files are missing corresponding ELAN files, like in the form of EAF files. And then conversely, it'll look at all of your ELAN files. It'll count how many ELAN files you have. You can have the option to list all those out, and you'll be able to see how many are missing corresponding audio files, or missing corresponding transcript files, and or missing corresponding settings files. And again, you have the option to list out the names of such files, but you don't have to. You can just count them if you would like. The code will be able to count them for you if that's all you wanted to do. And it'll also extract some basic information about ELAN tiers, And so this tool can be used for both, or it can be used by both users and depositors alike. As a user, if this is the first time that you're looking at a collection, this can be a very quick way to know what's in the collection without having to individually click through all the subfolders or open all the files in Elon itself. For depositors, this can be used as a useful sanity check before you deposit a collection to kind of see like, hey, are there weird file extension types or blank file extension types that or like file extension types that shouldn't be there, or are there Elon files that don't have settings files at all, or Elon files that don't have any audio or transcript files this can flag common issues in a collection for depositors. And this can also complement tools like Lameta. So this is where the script is able to be found. It's a public GitHub repo, and I will show that in a second. Let me just pause. Here is the GitHub repo. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the R file. So here's the file open in RStudio. So this is an R Markdown file, and I'll just go through the chunks of the code. So here, first, we want to set up the file root. The file root is the folder that you want to analyze. If you have a collection folder and that folder has a bunch of subfolders, that's going to be where you want your file root to go to. So in my case, it is user/Irene Yi/download/toy files. And toy files is just the mockup name we used for one of Claire's collections that we used to test the script. But yeah, this file root will look different. So in the version of the tool we upload, we will replace this with like XXXXX so that you can put your own file root in there. Yeah, so you run this the first time, or you run this first thing when you open the file. And then the first time that you ever run this code, you run this section and you change our eval to true. So like this, oops, sorry, true. But this installs the packages that you'll be using in this script. But if you already have the packages, it can be really tedious to just run this again. So for our purposes, I'm not going to run this chunk of code since I already have the packages. But you're going to run this one because this is just like taking those packages out of your library and using them here in this script. And yeah, this is a little spiel about the file root. And notably for Windows users, your file path is going to look a little bit different than Mac users. And that at the end of this script, it's going to output a text file with all the statistics of like how many files are missing, audio files, how many files are missing, transcript files, and stuff like that. So that will be the end output of the script. And for those who know how to use R, you can also knit it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so here we have the first chunk of the code, which lists out all the directories. So if you wanted to see all your files, here we can just do this. You delete the little hashtag in front of this next line of code, and this will output all of your files as well. And so you can see that there are a lot of files in this collection. So I'm just gonna comment that out again so that we can see the directories. But here are all the directories, and you can see at every slash, it shows a different subfolder. So in this big folder, there's this subfolder, and in this subfolder, there's this subfolder, and in that subfolder, there's this one. And so this is a good way to see your directories without having to click through all of those. This next chunk will count the total number of files in your collection, and then this will be listing all of the file extensions and how many files are of that extension. So here we go. It says you have 792 total files in your entire collection. And then this is a table with all the file extension types and the number of files. So we can see here all the types of file extensions that we have and how many files are of that. So this next part will count all the EAF files that you have. And so this is not commented out currently, but So this will list out all the files, and then we can comment out to see a cleaner version of the output. So you have 263 total EAF files, and here are all the EAF files. So I'm just going to comment out this again so that we can see just this clean line of output. You have 263 total EAF files. And then this next one counts the number of EAF files that have missing corresponding audio files, either in WAV or MP4 format. And so again, these are the lines that you can comment out if you don't want to see all of the files listed. So this is the commented out version of it. So you have 256 EAF files that are missing corresponding audio files, and you have 7 files that have corresponding audio files. So now we can look at which ones those are. So here are the 263 that are missing files, and then scrolling, here are the 7 that have the corresponding audio files. So this next block of code will be for settings files. So it's in the same format. I'm just going to comment this out for time purposes because I think we're running a bit short on time. Here are the general statistics of there are 24 EAF files that are missing corresponding settings files and 239 that have corresponding settings files. So that's good. And so, yeah, for time purposes, the rest of the blocks basically do the same thing. This is to see if the EAF files have the matching corresponding text or TXT transcript files. This one does the same thing, but with audio. So this is going to list out all of your audio files, and we can just run this really quickly. You have 20 total audio files, and it'll list them all out. If you want to hide the names, you can comment that out like that. And then similarly, it'll show you how many have corresponding EAF files and how many are missing EAF files, like how many audio files are missing or have that. So yeah, you have 13 files that are missing corresponding ELAN files, and you have 7 that have corresponding EAF files. So yeah, that is our tool. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to be uploading a version on GitHub, and or a version has been uploaded to GitHub, and we're going to continue to update it and continue to fix more bugs and add more like detailed or better ELAN functions and all that kind of stuff. And we're also very happy to hear any feedback. So if you have any feedback that you would like to give, whether that's functions that you would like to see in the future, or questions, or things that you think could be made better, we're all ears. Please just let us know. Yeah, so thank you so much, and I hope this tutorial helped, and yeah, thank you.